a swing. My God, how salacious would that be? Seeing other people have a good time in a wholesome manner. Wow. Let's go. Scrub through everyone. Like a gram of high dose psilocybin.
Ooh.
It's not crazy. Not my first rodeo, nigga. I just figure Clubhouse is filled with
hotels and vacation rentals,
faggots and stuff. Might as well come in free flow and maybe people can have a good time. And if they don't like it, they can tell me to fuck off. They usually
I gotta tell you, you look fantastic. Is it science fiction? Oh, what? Come on. Fucking empty compliments. I had major fucking coronary disease. He's not shitting you, Phil. I broke my fucking guts and far on that goddamn recumbent bike. I'll tell you that. Will I shit you? You're my favorite.
get blocked because that person keeps coming in.
Why don't you get a real bike?
Okay.
That's some piece of pussy to look at while you're working hard. Go over the handlebars, have some fucking head trauma. That's all I need. I'm 66 years old.
Did everyone have a productive day? I had a fucking super productive day.
Thanks. Listen to me.
Hi, Jay.
I'm a cranky fuck lately. Lately? Why don't you get a bike, you fat fuck?
Yeah. That's, kind of what being productive means.
Young, beautiful, and lovely.
Tomorrow's going to be probably the most productive day, so I'm going to hang out with faggots and cuts for another 3 hours, and then wake up sour, dehydrated.
I had to enjoy my grandchildren, my home.
The pictures in the importance of drinking water, staying healthy, wealthy, all this kind of stuff. Oh, yeah.
You hear the news? Pork chop out in Jersey. Accused on a weapon charge. Drops a gag in a field somewhere 3 fucking years ago.
What the fuck? Jersey. Fucking farmers, I don't know. Yeah, he's probably going down to some sheep or some shit.
Did you say it takes ages to do your beard?
Yeah.
To what? To shave it and stuff in a nice way?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Everybody calm down. You jokers. I am Dr. King Schultz, a legal representative of the criminal justice system of the United States of America. The man to my left is Django Freeman. He's my deputy. In my pocket is a warrant signed by Circuit Court Judge Henry Allen Laudermilk of Austin, Texas, for the arrest and capture, dead or alive, of John Brickell, Roger Brickell, and Ellison. These are wanted men. The law wants them for murder. Now, I reiterate, the warrant states dead or alive. We were operating within our legal boundaries. May I please remove the warrant from my pocket so you may examine
It
it?
all depends on the equipment you have. Like if you've got a knife with all the different heads and the fittings on them, and it's nice and it's charged and it's whatever.
Get on.
They're dirt cheap now.
What's really funny is
Everything one could have.
Yeah, I just have a little bit of patience and precision. It takes like fucking less than 10 minutes to do like everything perfect.
Oh, that's insane.
Well, you are.
Half an hour.
Well, it's because you're like a fucking monkey with all your hair. Because you guys have.
No, believe it or not, I'm not that bad, but like my hair is easy to work with. But yeah, it's still a bitch.
Is it? Oh, maybe it's too thin. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe it's not nice and thick, which you can't change. I don't know.
I'm Middle Eastern. I'm Middle Eastern.
Do Middle Easterns have thick beards? I don't know.
Who's gonna come?
Honest question. I don't observe things I don't care about.
We have the thickest beards on earth, dude.
Then it should be easy, man. Just fucking get the whatever 12 millimeter 16. I use a 16 millimeter for me because my hair is long. Match it with the length of your hair. fucking just do all that first, and then look at yourself in the mirror, and then fine tune. 30 minutes is too much, dude. You're fucking too self-centered. Anyways, this is faggot talk. This is something that you know, you need to figure out on your own.
30 minutes.
Oh, man, dude, I can brush my teeth, groom, shower, change, and do hair in like 20 minutes.
Yeah, but that means you look like an ignorant. Or you're not well kept.
No, fuck no. All the fucking bitches, they thirst over me. I wouldn't say if it was real. I'm a fucking brutally honest person. Okay, I have to shut up. This is. I don't want it to be a Sasha show.
Well, it's not going to be a rabbi show either because I'm shaving and then I'm going to have it in the shower. Where's John? We need him.
Or Rambleson. Rambleson would be the best. Rambleson will just fucking take her for 3 hours. Hello? Is anyone there? Is anyone there? Did I not just tell you how to fucking take cars and turn them into money? Do you not fucking hear me? You see, there's an intersection of being lazy and ingenious. That's what I am, and what are you, nigger? No, you need to listen to me. You're not listening to me. You're not listening to me. Okay? I only eat the best butter. Only the best butter in the world. What the fuck do you eat? Slop? Shut up.
Rico keeps Rambleson today and he even unfollowed him.
Why? Fucking Tim's the best. He's the best. If he respects you, he's the best. If he likes you, he's the best. Did you guys make up? I hope you did. Don't be fucking... You and Rambleson.
I don't have a problem with Rambleson. I don't have a problem with Rambleson, but he's a bitch.
No, you still... That's the thing. That's just fucking... Both of you. Both of you are A-type. You know? And then... You have to be more strategic, you know? It's easy. If two people are... Listen, it's like game theoretical. I didn't read it in a book, but it's self-evident. I'm A-type too. But I actually don't fucking give a shit about anybody, so it's easy for me to put myself below them as an experiment. Embody that, try that, sacrifice your dignity. If you're A-type and you get in a disagreement with a friend that's A-type, because at the end of the day, their involvement.
They're fine. Rambleson and I are fine. We're not beefing. I was going to go see the nigger, that's all.
Okay, because I thought that you guys were like...
No, but it's just he's a bitch. It's like a psychotic girlfriend type of situation. That's all it is. I love Rambleson.
Okay,
Down with that mutual down.
now you're confusing me. Is it like the good old days between you two still?
Yeah, dude, I just
Okay,
believe all the time.
fine. I don't then scratch everything I was just saying because I was preaching like.
My beef is with John. That's bad. I have beef with him. Rambleson and I know each other for very practice. Like he knows what boundaries not to cross. I know what boundaries not to cross.
Yeah, but you guys were having a little spat for a couple days, right?
Yeah, we always do that.
But then you figured it out, right?
But we always do that as well. So.
Good.
We always fight. I wouldn't much value in someone like Rambleson unless I can fight him. What's the point of having the guy around?
I don't know. It's harder for me. It's harder for me when someone pierces me. It takes a lot. I'm fucking fire. I'm fire and vengeance. And I can hold something for my whole life.
Yeah, so I believe that the Lord says vengeance is mine. So I don't feel like that.
That's good. That's good. Better than me.
I don't hold on to anger. Like that.
Yeah, it's my fuel. It's my powder keg. I put in the bolt and then I can use it. But it might be good. It's also bad in some circumstances. Anyways, I'm happy because the way that Randallson went on about it, and I had his ear for him to get it off his chest because he was helpful to me one day when I was fucking quite frail. And we talked for like 5 hours. I gained a deeper appreciation for him.
I suppose you didn't talk.
No, he talked a lot. He talked tons. And he told me what
That's what I mean.
he told me what. No, I talked a lot. And he listened. But he also talked a lot. And he told me what I should do. And that was like, I'm like, that's a little bit, you should do this. You should. It was a little bit put off by it. But at least he was like, he was a good man about it. But fine. Don't listen to me. I love everybody. Or most people. 19 out of 20 people I fucking just adore.
That's crazy. Like, I hate most people. Holy crap. I mean, it depends on where you are in life, I suppose. Like, in my case, I see people as very awesome. Shit. I'm gonna be real with you on it. Like, look at John here. Wouldn't you, like, fucking abuse this guy if you like him in real life?
No, man. I fucking take him out to dinner and have a great conversation. I pay for everything.
Really?
Yeah. Why wouldn't I? It's
I
Rabbi.
would fuck him up. I would scam the living shit out of him.
I'm sure you would. Rabbi, I've said this before. If I manage to have one of my epic parties this year, you'll definitely get an invite. And there's two other people I can think about on Clubhouse you may or may not know that are getting an invite that live in the GTA. It's probably going to be in the end of August, maybe early September, but it'll be crazy fun. And I would like to meet you and look in your eye and see who you are.
I mean, if I go to GTA, I'm in Montreal now. I'm out
Oh,
of there.
fuck, I forgot. I apologize. Yeah, that's not going to work. Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
scrap
anyways,
that.
I'm gonna be in Hong Kong apparently. In August.
What are you going to do now?
Wait, your least from conference.
Bitcoin? Okay, you can find like a wife too over there.
No, man, I'm going with the Angels going. So I'm like, okay, I'll go.
Don't go to, what the fuck do I get? Oh man, I'm so old, I can't remember the district. Don't go to, I'll remember it, hold on.
Wow.
Wait, Sasha, you fucked a tranny and one chai?
That's what you got from it? No, that did not happen. I'm just saying, don't go there.
There's nothing wrong with that. We have to do that. Like, we're not gonna.
It's the den of perversion, and it's filled with all sorts of prostitutes and trannies, and a lot of people get sucked in. Because all of Hong Kong there's some districts that are like really party forward, and the uninitiated, the people that don't know about like unlimited debauchery and party, can just they get lost in there. And then for a rabbi who at least has some dignity, I should say, stay away from it. Unless that's your cup of tea.
How about you go ahead and Google a place called Ocean something club in Toronto. It's a club.
So there's something up with this wall. I'm not from Toronto.
So how about you Google it? Can you Google it very quick?
Orphan Annie? What?
It's Ocean.
Always drink your Ovaltine?
No, I'm giving you the Ocean Club with Ocean in it.
Ocean Club. Why? Why am I supposed to Google it?
Because I've been there.
Brendan's favorite place in Toronto. Ocean Club Waterfront Condominium?
No.
Ocean Club Condos? Ocean Club Tower? 660 Annie Craig Drive, Ocean Club. There we go, right? No. I don't know. I'm not to Urban Toronto, Ocean Club. Grace's Shoreline Lake, Ontario, and I don't need to. I can't find anything, and I was in another search right now. But I'm glad you're worldly. I was just trying to give some nice advice earlier.
Well, you need to find that, especially since you are in Toronto. You need
No, I'm in a different stage of life, dude, man. I'm fucking homesteading.
Yeah, most of the people are your age.
Fucking, wow. Fucking degenerates. They haven't found their way. They don't wake up at the same time every day. They don't eat well. They don't exercise. They're dysregulated. They don't, as John would say, they don't live in the now. They're lost. I could fuck them in the ass and they'd forget about it 2 days later.
Probably because it's a tech club with a pool.
Oh my god, I drank all my beer, and I want to open this $60.
So you drink too much, nigga.
I want to open the $60 bottle of wine that's my wife's, and I'm going to drink it all. I'm not going to appreciate it, but I just checked online; it's available, so I can replace it. Is it worth it? Should I just?
No, just fucking have something else. We're gonna ditch you in like 5 minutes. Then you'll be all alone drinking an expensive bottle of wine. What's the point?
Well, because it's alcohol.
Teddy.
I'm a slave. I'm a nigger. Okay, I figured it out. I've got
Do you get pissed drunk like every day?
I've got a fake beer. No, of course not. I
only see you drunk, yeah?
I rarely get pissed drunk.
I never see you not drunk.
You need to describe what drunk is. What's drunk?
You speak in cursive.
in cursive means? Imagery? That might just be me. Or is it something that is common with all drugs?
Yeah, it is something common among all drunks when they're drunk. Just speaking sensitive.
Would you say I'm equivalent to David Bobadilla?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Do I enunciate as poorly as him?
No, but you're obviously overshot.
But how do you? This is the thing. How do you differentiate the effect from the person if there isn't like generally speaking enunciation problems?
I just don't know what to tell you, dude. A drunk man is not the same as a normal man. Like when you are drunk, you're not behaving like normal.
Sasha, aren't you an alcoholic? Don't you know this shit?
Yeah, the thing is, alcoholics kind of just behave. Well, at least my quality of alcoholism behave like baseline normal all the time.
Nej, tänk dig då.
I'm thinking about it, but I'm not very
Like, do
convinced.
you think Bobadilla thinks that he's behaving abnormally?
Yeah, I think if he's as smart as he proclaims to be, I think intelligence comes with a little bit of introspection.
It's right, but he's drunk. Okay, buddy,
Okay. Okay. Look, this is the way that I make sense of it. Dysregulation of your prefrontal cortex allows you to behave more in a childlike state. That makes you funnier. Sometimes it makes you faster. Sometimes it makes you stupider.
But it's always make you drunk.
Sure, if that's your definition, it's not mine. If it gets to the point where it interferes with clarity of thought or articulation, yeah, I wouldn't call that drunk. I would call it like for me, drunk is like someone who falls over. You know, like look, Rabbi, I could beat the shit out of you right now in a fight for sure. No, seriously.
You do know that I do MMA, right?
I could still fucking beat you up. Doesn't matter.
I don't think so. I've been doing MMA and street fight for like 6 years now.
I can still do it. Trust me. You're a little faggot. Let's put that aside. Let's put that aside. We don't need to go there. I'm sorry I brought it up. But I could walk in a straight line. I'm athletic. I could beat you at javelin or target sports. I could.
I don't do target. I'm more for Walmart.
Of course you don't.
So tell me, what is 3 to the power of 2?
3 times 3,
Which is
9.
okay. So what is 9 plus 16?
I've never been good at math, but if you give me a moment, I can answer.
I'll take it. When you're sober, you can solve it.
What's 100 times 1,000?
100 times 1,000?
Yeah, see, you can't get it. Nigger, I beat you at your own fucking game.
Dude, it's 100,000.
Yeah, you have to add up the zeros.
Yeah, obviously.
What what's the volume what's the equation for volume of a cylinder?
Oh, I don't know that. I didn't forgot that.
What's the equation for a circle, two-dimensional?
I also forgot that.
Pi r square, right? Everyone remembers it.
No, I don't know in high school. I don't know.
You fucking in your advanced level shit, and you're talking about yesterday with your growth factors and all this stuff. Fuck you. You posture too much. Anyways,
Well, that's different. That's a different side of math. I'm not the best at trigonometry, for example. I'm horrible at it.
why not be a generalist?
I don't need it. It's not in my line of work.
Okay. Anyways.
Stats are interesting.
Anyways, look, this is unfruitful. I apologize that I got defensive in the conversation of alcoholism. It's something that I take serious about myself, and I reacted badly. So whatever. I don't want to. I got triggered, and I'm going to be the big man here and say let's put it aside, or else. And if you want to proceed and fight, like I can do that. That's okay. But
No, I'm not even fighting with you, man. You're not fighting with yourself. I'm just saying that drunk people behave differently than sober people.
Sure. Sober people are more regulated. You didn't listen to my thesis on the effects of alcohol in the brain. It disinhibits the prefrontal cortex, which is your inhibitory system, the system that keeps you back, so it makes you like a child. And I was trying to say that there's benefits and drawbacks. Now, when it affects your motor skills,
Yeah, but I don't need these benefits. I have Obama phone.
pardon me?
I don't need those benefits. I have Obama phone.
Fuck. Okay. I'm gonna go fucking hang out with some niggers. Some real niggers. I'll be back probably, because the fucking clubhouse hallway will be full of shit. Groom yourself.
Sasha, don't you realize that, like, you're a clown? Look at your PTR.
I put it on specifically because I was feeling ornery and clownish. But I'm gonna go hang out with the niggers.
Oh my gosh. Look at Kyle Rittenhouse
Rabbi?
in the sky.
Rabbi, finish your. Sorry, I'm burping. Rabbi, finish your. Finish your grooming. I'll probably come back because Clubhouse is full of shit.
Don't leave me here with this end. Oh, he left. He left.
It's just drunk. Like, I've never seen him run. It's absurd.
Why is he gonna open a $60 bottle of wine to drink by himself? It's horrible.
He's alcoholic.
Yeah, but doesn't he have, like, something else to, like, you know, more affordably get his evening cocktail?
Have you never met an alcoholic?
I know, but what I'm saying is he didn't mention whether or not he had other alternatives. It sounded like that was his only choice.
Alternatives, I don't know what kind of alternatives. Oh, yeah, I think it is. Otherwise, why would we do it?
Yeah, it sounded like that was the only thing he had left, so he was going for it.
Right, can you play us something? I'm gonna hop in the shower for like 10 minutes. Oh, actually, it's gonna be a quick shower.
Yeah, I can play something. It's a strawberry moon out right now.
I don't even know what that is, but I'll take it.
It's a full moon.
Oh, God. Play us something, nigga. I'm gonna hop in the shower.
You want music or you want an audiobook?
Doesn't matter.
Okay, here we go. I wonder if I type in Randy McDickerson, if anything will come up. There's gotta be something, let's see.
I'm gonna mute you when I come back anyways.
Nope, nothing. Nothing comes up for you. Oh, let's see here.
is something superficial. However we define its nature, it is superficial. And the realities of human life are not under the gaze of its scanning process, at least not in the ordinary way. And that was a tremendous revelation. There's no question about that. But one sees troublesome signs when the doctrines and processes of psychiatry, psychoanalysis, and so forth become officialized. And I think Thomas Sass, in his books, The Myth of Mental Illness and The Manufacture of Madness, is pointing out something extremely important to us, which is that, in effect, the psychological official of today is the priest, and that he is beginning to exercise the same sort of controls over human life as were exercised by the church in the Middle Ages. So that a professor of psychiatry at Columbia or Harvard or Yale medical schools has today the same sort of intellectual respectability and authority as the professor of theology at the University of Toledo or Padua would have had in the year 1400. Now you must realize that the theologians of those days not simply believed in their cosmology and the theology, they almost knew it was true in the same way that our scientists know certain things to be true. Despite the fact that they change their opinions very often, while they hold them, they have in effect the force of dogma, as witness the anathematization of Velikovsky for his uncomfortable ideas. And therefore, there are heresies existing today which are persecuted in the same way as heresies were persecuted by the Holy Inquisition. And they are persecuted out of kindness, in exactly the same way that the Holy Inquisition persecuted heresy out of kindness and deep concern for human beings. That is unimaginable to us, but it was so. For after all, if you seriously believe that someone who did not hold the Catholic faith and who voluntarily rejected it would be tortured physically and spiritually forever and ever and ever in hell, you would resort to almost any means to preserve a fellow human being from such a fate, especially if the complaint or disease of heresy from which he suffered was infectious. You would first of all reason with him. And if he was not responsive to reason, you would resort to abuse and to forceful argument. And if he was not responsive to that, you would give him shock treatment and bang him about. If that didn't work, the thumbscrew and the rack and the Iron Maiden. And if that didn't work, as a last desperate resort, you would burn him at the stake in the pious hope that in the midst of those searing fires he would think better and make a last act of perfect contrition, and so be rescued from everlasting damnation. And you did all this in the spirit of this is going to hurt me more than it's going to hurt you. In the spirit of a surgeon who is very, very sorry indeed that he has to make you undergo this extremely painful operation. But it is in your best interests, and there really is at least a 50-50 chance that you may survive. And so, therefore, in perfectly scientific medical spirit, people may be very arbitrarily and without due process deprived of their civil rights, incarcerated in prisons that are in many cases much worse than prisons for criminals, and generally left to rot be neglected and ignored, and when bumptious, given shock treatment or put in solitary confinement. For what? Because they have unorthodox and heretical states of consciousness. A lot of these people are not dangerous until provoked into being dangerous by being ignored, by being treated as machines, and in generally defined as non-human. And if you are defined as non-human, there's precious little you can do about it. Because everything you say that sounds human will be taken as a kind of utterance of a mechanical man, as imitating humanness out of lunatic cunning. You will be suspicious. Everything you say will be listened to in a different way and with different ears. And you will have one hell of a time talking yourself out of it. Because there really are no rules as to what one must do when incarcerated for having unorthodox consciousness. There is no clear road to repentance. And this is found likewise in jails, where people are incarcerated on 1 to 10 year sentences, as in places like Vacaville, California, where when I visited such prisons, young men have come to me in perfect desperation, saying, I don't know what's happened to me, because I want to live like a decent citizen. I know I've done things that are wrong, but I simply don't know what is expected of me here. If I try to do what's expected, they say I'm compliant. And that seems to be some sort of a sickness. Thomas Sass drew attention to this when he quoted a discussion of the types of school children who may very well need therapy. There were overachieving children. There were underachieving children. There were children who exhibited erratic patterns. There were children who were sort of dully mediocre. In fact, every sort of child can be given a diagnostic name for his behavior which sounds sick. As Jung once suggested, life itself is a disease with a very poor prognosis. It lingers on for years and invariably ends with death. And I submit that in our present knowledge of the human mind, such power in the hands of psychiatrists is amazingly dangerous. For I would suggest that today we know about as much concerning the human mind as we knew about the galaxy in 1300. And that while there are indeed individuals who are certainly able to perform psychotherapy, it is the sheerest arrogance for anybody to say that he is officially qualified to do so. We do not know how it is done, just as we do not know, really, how musical, artistic, and literary genius is done. You cannot really teach it. You can put the tools for doing these things into people's hands, and you can show them how to use the tools. But whether they will use those tools with genius is quite unpredictable. And this is above all true of the art of psychotherapy. We don't know how it's done. We've got some vague ideas. There probably are some people who, by reason of their mental derangement, are probably not qualified to perform it, because they are maybe out just to make other people into messes. But to say that there are certain standards and certain examinations that can be passed and certificates that could be issued, which do indeed qualify people for this work, is, I think, pernicious nonsense. And is used, of course, out of economic self-interest when those who consider themselves official therapists run into competition. The same was done by religion. I was talking, imagine it, to a Buddhist priest in Thailand some years ago. I was looking at some books in a bookshop in the precincts of a Buddhist temple. And I was wandering over, and I noticed a book on a certain form of Buddhist meditation. And I murmured, Satipatthana, which is the name of a certain kind of Buddhist meditation. And a voice suddenly said to me, "You practice Satipatthana?" I looked up, and there was a skinny Buddhist monk in a yellow robe with rather red eyes looking at me. I said, "Not exactly Satipatthana. I use a different method. It's called Zen." "Oh, Satipatthana, not Zen." I said, "Oh, well, it's something like it, isn't it?" "No." "Well, it's rather like yoga," I said, "isn't it?" "Not yoga. No. Satipatthana different. Only right way." "Well, look," I said to him, "I have a lot of Roman Catholic friends who tell me that their way is the only right way. Who am I to believe?" "You know," I said, you're like someone who's got a ferry boat for crossing the river." I used the Buddhist simile. "And another fellow down the stream has opened up ferry business. And you go to the government and say, he's not authorized to operate a ferry boat because he's competition to you. Let all operate ferry boats who will. And if you haven't got the sense to stay off one that sinks, it's your fault." And after all, I could say to him, "You believe that everything that happens to you is your own karma. So why worry?" But now, it's so interesting that since official psychiatry, and I underline that word official because I hope those of you in this audience who are therapists will regard yourselves as unofficial. Please, that'll give you an out. But nevertheless, official psychiatry has curious things in common with Western religion, as well as with Eastern. With Eastern, I said, only insofar as it has an interest in states of consciousness and inclines to regard other states of consciousness than the ordinary as sick. But it has one very important feature in common with Western religion. And to that, we have to go a little bit into Western religious history and ask ourselves what in Western religion, and especially in Christianity, and this goes also for Judaism, Islam, what is the great heresy? Curiously enough, the great heresy was first in the West committed by no less a person than Jesus Christ, who believed himself to be God. This, of course, will be unquestionably true if you think that the Gospel of St. John has historical value. It's a little vaguer in the Synoptic Gospels, but if you read the Gospel of St. John, there is absolutely no doubt about it, for he said, "I and the Father are one. He who has seen me has seen the Father. Before Abraham was, I am. I am the way, the truth, and the life. I am the resurrection and the life." He said all that, according to this gospel. And that is something that in the Western world you are not supposed to say. Especially you are not supposed to believe it. And naturally it was very difficult for Jesus because he was saying all this in the context of the Hebrew culture. And he tried to find language in the Hebrew scriptures with which to express his state of consciousness, because he had an unusual state of consciousness. As I read it, he had cosmic consciousness, otherwise known as mystical experience, otherwise known as moksha, nirvana, bodhi, satori, fana elvana, or what you will. And that happened.
Telling me why do I waste my time with a doctor of philosophy and you come on here and talk to fucking N-words all day for years?
To people.
Yeah, because this guy is
It has happened as far back as we know. It happens all over the world and in all cultures. We don't know very much about it. We don't really know ways in which to make it happen, because it seems to be of the nature of it that it is a spontaneous surprise. But it unquestionably happens. And most people keep their mouths shut about it when it does. I had a friend who, in the middle of having a stroke, had this illumination. And he said to me, I fear to speak to my friends of this, but it was the most beautiful experience. I shall never be afraid of death. In fact, I recommend everyone to have a stroke. This was my friend Jean Varda, lately deceased, a Greek painter. But Jesus certainly had this transformation of consciousness, and he was crucified for it. Why? Because he had committed an act of insubordination and treason against the cosmic government. Because if you believe that God is a monarch, an absolute, omniscient, and omnipotent authority, shall we say a sort of cosmic ego, then to claim to be that is to introduce democracy into the kingdom of heaven, to usurp divine authority, and to speak in its name without proper authorization. And they asked Jesus, by what authority do you speak? Of heaven or of men? And he was tricky about answering that one. He said, by what authority did John the Baptist speak? And they were nervous about answering that one. He could have asked, by what authority did Isaiah speak, etc. Or Moses. But Moses became official authority. And if you could wangle it, that what you said was simply an extension of what Moses said, because Rabbi so-and-so said it, who got it from Rabbi so-and-so, who got it from Rabbi so-and-so, who got it from Moses, then it's okay. Notice this, that to be an authority today in the academic world depends on documentation. It's not enough to say, for I say unto you, you must put in your footnotes. And the more the footnotes, the more the authority, obviously. So, our dissertations tend to be books about books, about books about books. And our libraries multiply by mitosis. So, when somebody speaks as an authority, that means speaks as the author. That's all it means. It's a statement of which you are the author, and therefore for which you assume responsibility. That is to speak with authority. And to be original is likewise not to be freaky, but to speak from the origin. That is what Christians mean when they say to speak in the Spirit, to have your mouth possessed by the Holy Spirit, as they believe the mouth of Jesus was possessed by the Holy Spirit. So the gospel of Jesus, which of course was hushed up from its inception, was that wake up everybody and find out who you are. Asking that, again in the Gospel of St. John, they, pointing to his disciples, may be one, even as you, Father, and I are one. And when he was accused of blasphemy, the Jews took up stones to stone him, you know. And he said, many good works have I shown you from the Father, and from which of these do you stone me? And they said, for a good work we don't stone you, but for blasphemy, because you being a man make yourself God. Now listen to the reply. He said, is it not written in your law, I have said ye are gods? And if that is what the scripture says, it can't be denied. So why do you tell me I blaspheme because I say I am a son of God? No answer. Because I said I am a son of God. It doesn't say that in your King James translation. It says I am the son of God. And you'll see the italicized, and you will think that that is for emphasis if you don't realize that passages in italics in the King James Bible are interpolations by the translators. So, son of, in Hebrew and in Arabic, means of the nature of. When we call someone a son of a bitch, we mean bitchy. And so if you call someone a son of God, you mean divine. of the nature of God. As the Nicene Creed subsequently defined it, he is of one substance with the Father. But what happened was that this being blasphemy for the Jews, it became blasphemy for the Christians, for anyone else than Jesus to say it. They said, okay, baby, it was so with you, but there it stops. No more of this business. And as a result of that, Jesus was made irrelevant by pedestalization, by being kicked upstairs. Oh! In spite of the fact that he said, greater works than these that I do shall you do. Oh no. Upstairs with you, baby. Because we just can't have that sort of thing going on in a monarchical universe. We're not going to have democracy in the kingdom of heaven. This is why the gospel is impossible. Because we're supposed to follow the example of Christ. When he says, for example, be not anxious for the morrow. Do not worry about what you should eat, what you should drink, what you should wear.
That's a good point, Sean. Optic equals piss tier. Thank you, Optic. Guys, make sure to. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Make sure to subscribe if you guys haven't already. This live could get taken down at any moment. When that happens, I'll just get back on live. Alright, so 9 lines said all these cops for protesters while Epstein files remain hidden. If only we enforce the elite with the same scrutiny we do the common person. That's facts. What do you guys think about that? So that's a good jab at the Trump administration. What do you guys think about Elon Musk saying that Trump was part of the Epstein files? Will take.
He's done a lot with environmental
And for the
environmental
indigenous
justice
people
and climate
too,
change.
giving indigenous their land back.
Is she from
Do the cartels respect them?
Is she from New York?
She's from Mexico.
Mexico.
That's what I worry one day if the cartel respects them.
But she's Jewish.
There's no
Respect.
there's no evidence that she has any corruption that's linked with her specifically.
Well, no, okay, but she was AMLO's protege, which obviously, so AMLO, he was the cartel's favorite, and then he was our
Hello?
Yeah, it's worth it in terms of, I would just say, the personal experience, because it did teach me that I'm able to district is important so that they can introduce you to that community. Is that what you're saying?
That and it gives you. I keep saying coverage, but just think of it as a marker, or think of it as a marketing map. You know, on a marketing map, you have target. You have target locations, and so for your office that you would run for potentially, you're going to have target locations on your map, and so you're going to know, okay, these precincts have a high density of voters. These precincts over here are mostly Democrat. These precincts over here are mostly Republican. I have some of these precincts over here that have independent voters. I have a large swath of voters that are more the older demographic on this side, and so you're going to be able to identify all of that. Well, when you have people who actually support you, who are actual voting members in the party, and they live in your district, that's going to be a huge advantage for you, because a candidate who's starting, who just decides, okay, I want to run for office, I'm going to file my paperwork, I'm going to file my statement of interest, I'm going to file my financial disclosures, and they decide to run, if they don't have anybody inside the party that supports them, they're not going to be able to get their campaign off the ground. So if you start, and then also keep in mind, when you do, when you spend time inside the party, which means you're signing up chairs or committeemen, people get to know who you are, and so they get to familiarize themselves with you, which means they're more likely to trust you when it comes time, when you do declare to run for office, because they're going to know you because you spent time around the party.
So that's just to get you into office, but once you get into office, that's when the real work begins, because then the knives come out, people want to get in your way, they conspire against you. It just seems like a thankless, never-ending battle.
Yeah, I mean, I think being in office is the easy part, because the hard part is winning a primary and a general election. When you get in office, I mean, outside of attending votes or attending meetings, being in office, that just the day-to-day, that part is easy. The hard part that you have is dealing with going through the election process. That's the more difficult part.
You think winning is more difficult than governing?
Yes, because for a number of reasons. Because while you're running, you're getting accustomed to dealing with people who are trying to do things behind your back. So the whole time that you're doing that, you're preparing yourself to for the time that comes when you do win the election. So you're already going into office with the understanding that you have a lot of corrupt people that you're going to have to figure out how to navigate, and then number two, you have your list of things that you made on your agenda, and you know which of those things people most care about, so you're going to be able to focus in on what you think people most cared about during the campaign. So doing all of that is the easy part, because it's just shaking hands and kissing babies, and then watching a person try to do something to hurt you politically. But that's the easy part. The hard part is going through that grilling, because really the establishment, or those who don't want you in office, they're going to do everything they can and throw everything at you while you're running for office. When you're in office, it's not much that they can do about it. They can prepare to stop you the next time you run, but the attacks are going to come while you're running for office.
Attacks are going to come, but aren't there also going to come when you're in office to obstruct progress, obstruct you having any policy or any victories to advance the area, so they're trying to prevent you from having a record to run on?
Well, I mean, they're going to try to do things while you're in office, but again, if you do those things that I talked about in terms of positioning yourself across your district, and you get a coalition of people behind you, those people that are behind you, they will be able to help you while you're in office. So, and those will be the people that, and you'll be able to figure out too, who are your most loyal supporters that will help you while you're in office.
But isn't it true that even the loyal ones are the ones who got their hands out for something, even though they're helping you, but everybody's helping you because they have something in the back of their mind that they want?
Well, it just depends on who you're talking about, because you're going to have parents that are going to be reaching out to you for certain things in regards to education, but they're not trying to get anything of monetary value from you. You are going to have lobbyists. You're going to have those types of people that will try to get things out of you. But I would say more than anything, if you have parents that back you, and then you have large groups that back you. So whether that's a coalition of either churches or fraternities or sororities or clubs, gun clubs or whatever, if you have those types of groups that will back you, that will help you as well, because then that makes your coalition of people stronger.
Yeah. So yeah, I was just shadowing the candidate. We walked into a union hall. I think it was a plumber's union hall. He walked in, he had a meeting with the board. He had about 10 minutes with them. I walked in with them. We sat at one of these big old tables. In my mind, I'm like, I'm literally having a seat at the table right now. And they gave him 5 minutes to just say, okay, you're on our agenda. What do you want? And he just starts off. He's a great speaker. I mean, spoke from the heart for 5 to 8 minutes, just basically telling, all the faces around the table, I'm looking for your support, and here's why, and here's my background, and here's what I'm going to fight for, here's what I advocate for, here's why I'm your candidate, and I need your support. I'd like your official endorsement, this and that. But he went for so long. When he asked questions, he asked for them to ask him questions. They asked him no questions. And that was it. 5 to 8 minutes. And he's basically systematically going to all of the unions, all of these things. He's trying to consolidate his support all over the city. And I'm just taking notes and learning from him, because he's very strategic and effective in what he's doing. But it just seems like such a thankless job. And I went to what do you think about that first, before I say one of the?
Well, and that's going to be the difference between running as a Democrat and a Republican. As a Democrat, you're going to be very much intertwined with unions and all different types of political action committees, and it's going to be a lot of that on the Democrat side, especially unions. On the Republican side, you're going to be more closely tied to gun clubs, and like I said, parents. That's going to be a big one for you, but that's going to be a little bit more closer to Main Street than any particular group. But yeah, if you run as a Democrat, you're going to definitely be dealing with unions for sure.
Got it. So you're saying, as a conservative or Republican, more gun clubs, parent groups, and what was it?
Churches as well.
Faith-based.
Yeah.
But if you are running as a Democrat, you got to run those circles because there's just a long-standing relationship between the parties and the unions.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I would like to run as an independent, honestly. I don't really align with either party, but I'm more of a, common sense kind of guy, not a, a political ideology kind of thing. But, I don't know.
And the challenge that you're going to have is that you won't have that apparatus around you, and when you get to even when you get to the primary, you're going to find it very very challenging because you're probably running unopposed, but just getting everything together, you're going to find it harder to get off the ground as an independent.
Because what are the built-in barriers to independence?
Well, independents don't have any party infrastructure, so you don't have coverage. You don't have as I said, the pieces on the chessboard to help you move or operate. And what you're going to find is as an independent, you're going to have to build all that out yourself as a candidate.
So it's nearly impossible to break through the two-party system.
Unless you already have some people that are on the ground who are going to aggressively recruit, and I should have used that word earlier when I was talking about chairs and commitment. Recruiting is the most important thing as a candidate.
Recruiting what?
Recruiting chairs or committee or people who can be and let's just call them disciples, because that's basically what you have is disciples that can share your message or your agenda that's out there.
Like what you call, that's another word for surrogates.
Yes. Yep.
Because I consider myself to be a horrible self-promoter. I don't like to prove myself so much. I like to just kind of do the work, but it seems like the job is all about self-promotion. You got to get in front of rooms and really make the case as to why you're the best candidate, and I just tend to not feel comfortable in those roles because self-promotion doesn't. I'm just naturally a humble person, so to self-promote to me is really out of my wheelhouse.
One thing that you could do is you could, and I did this by accident. Okay, I wasn't even intending to do this, but back in 2018, I started to do videos covering what was happening with the DOJ, FBI, and Trump. And so when I did that, I got a lot of attention from a lot of people, and I wasn't asking for money. I didn't have a cash app or anything like that. I was just getting in front of a camera for 45 minutes to an hour and really talking about criminal justice, the 14th Amendment, talking about things that I could just talk about just by having a conversation like I'm having a conversation with you now. And so a lot of people, they gravitated towards that because they never really saw a person like me just sit in front of a live camera talking about criminal justice issues. very familiar with me. I had governors looking at my videos. I had members of the mainstream media looking at it. I had journalists looking at it, and I could see the accounts because it would show up on Periscope. So a lot of people were looking at my videos, and they just liked what I had to say. And so you probably could do something like that for a while to give people a chance to get familiar with you. And then once they're familiar with you, then you can, decide to run. But like I said, as you're doing that, you definitely need to recruit and, find out where your GOP committee is, find out how many vacancies there are, and then you need to start recruiting and positioning yourself so that when you do decide to run, you have those pieces available.
Yeah. So you gotta get the recruitment is the most, it seems like that's important. Recruiting the surrogates and the advocates.
Yep.
But I just feel like I'm too humble to aggressively fundraise, which would be necessary, and I think I'm just a horrible self-promoter, and I don't know. I'd likely become public enemy number one because, the leftist establishment here, they would consider me to be a traitor as a black man,
Well, people are going to want to donate to you because, you're going to have the likability factor. And you'll have the likability factor because you spent the time in front of them and they've had a chance to get familiar with you. So you will build that trust over time with people. And so when you do make an announcement, people are going to want to donate to you because, even when I announced in the first 24 hours, I raised $1,000, and then in the first 30 days, I raised $10,000. So, it's possible to raise money without having to put forth a ton of effort, but having the social media presence is going to be key because you can leverage the social media to raise that money.
well, potential is that you've run before, but have you had a chance to win?
Just the primary, the general, I was about 1,990 votes short.
Ugh. So you made it to the primary but lost the general?
Yep.
By 1,000 votes.
1,990 votes.
Looking back, what strategy did you not employ that maybe could have got you over the finish line?
I don't really. The only thing that I would say that I really would have done differently is maybe recruit harder. If growing that precinct base, the number of people who supported me across the district, if I would have grown it a little bit more, and that means I would have had more coverage out for the general election.
So are you going to go back into politics with a new strategy or with a renewed approach?
No, unless the only thing that would cause me to run again is if I had Trump's endorsement, because having his endorsement means that I would run for a primary and a general. I would win because I would carry a lot of independent votes by default.
Do you think getting Trump's endorsement is realistic for you?
Well, I don't think that it would necessarily happen, but stranger things have happened. So if it did happen, then that means
interaction with you over the years, man. You've always held yourself out as just a true, strong, independent voice for truth. And I always appreciated your presence in the room. So I think you have a lot of value on the political spectrum. And I think you should try to get that endorsement and come back in, man. It's gonna be we need men like you in politics, man. That's all. That's it. That's all.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
It's true, man. It's true. And if I ever get to Arizona, man, I'm gonna look for you, man. Hoping to come out there soon. Do you think it was wrong for Trump to say that not all I like my heroes who don't get captured?
I mean, I think that sometimes Trump will say certain things because of maybe his personal situation with that issue. So I don't know what his conversations were with John McCain. I don't know what happened between me and him. I do know that John McCain did a lot of terrible things. Regardless of him serving the country as a military service member, he did a lot of horrible things. So, that cannot be understated.
So was it wrong for him to say that? Or do you think he had reason to attack him? Apparently he said that to him because McCain a couple of days before that said that Trump and his bunch of crazies, referring to the rally goers, Trump's rally goers. He referred to Trump's rally goers as a bunch of crazies.
Yeah, see, McCain did certain things, and it's just like it's almost kind of one of those situations where you reap what you sow. You said all these things about millions and millions of people, and so now somebody else says something about you, and so you reaped what you sowed. I mean, and his history in government and in politics, he really did a lot of bad things.
Okay, Nate, that's I thought that was an issue that was I thought Arizona's really I'm glad reflexively against Trump on that. I didn't know how the waters were in Arizona, so it seems like you understand that if McCain takes a swipe, you get what you give. You throw barbs, you'll get a barb back, and if it goes below the belt, well, shouldn't have thrown the first punch.
I just wanted to step in real quick. Christian, thank you so much for that statement. My husband's a military officer. He didn't take offense to your statement at all. He thought exactly the way you did, so I wanted to thank you for being a voice of reason.
Thank you, Lynn. I appreciate your voice on this stage. Please cash in your pink ticket and join Finding Common Ground, where we have smart debates that lead to building bridges and getting new understanding. And I appreciate your voice. How long have you been in the room? Have you been in the room long enough to hear what we did earlier, or did you just get here?
I got here just a little while ago, and so I haven't been here long enough to really get into the conversation, but I did have to step up and say Crystal for that statement.
What do you think about John McCain and how Trump treated him with that statement? Do you think that was over the line?
No, I don't. Again, my husband was a military officer. He came back with his skull in 3 pieces, and he was a mess, but he's living a fairly normal life now.
What was in 3 pieces?
His skull.
His skull?
Uh-huh.
His skull was in 3 pieces.
Yeah, his skull was in 3 pieces. He had 12 traumatic brain bleeds, several fractures in his spine.
Thank God. Please thank him for his service. I mean, there are no words to express. Oh my God, that's shocking to hear that.
But he's doing well now. The only thing that we're really fighting for the most part is his PTSD, but because I was stationed and a lot of people took it against all military men that didn't happen to have everything go their way. I really did feel that John McCain pushed that envelope, and yes, Trump doesn't always say things the way that maybe some, how do I say this, classier guys could say things. But it's not, it really takes a dummy, I think, to me, to mistake what he's talking about. It's just like the other statement that he said in the locker room. My grandfather being a banker and a man of kind of high power, his way of stating it was there was a lot of practical prostitutes. And that probably would have gone down a little bit nicer than what he said, but it meant the same thing.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we have to read behind and look at what's going on surrounding that comment too. It's like John McCain pushing the envelope. I think he really absolutely did.
Yep, he was. I don't know. He didn't gain my vote in 08. I voted for Obama, believe it or not, because I thought that he was just so off target with how he was attacking Obama at the time. But I was very politically mature, and I thought Obama would be able to inspire and unite the country. And I was living in La La Land, but I didn't like the attacks.
I voted for Obama too, just so you know.
Yeah, in the last few weeks of that campaign, I remember McCain raising, terrorists. He was raising some kind of parallel between Obama and the terrorists, and his name and Obama. And I thought it was really low and unfounded, and it just came out of nowhere. He was grasping at straws, and I thought he was really just desperate with the reaches that he was making with Obama. And then I was very much disappointed with Obama within a month. But here we are.
He did have a nice voice, though. He did definitely reach people, and I just wish he had done it a little bit differently. But thank you for the room, guys. I'm gonna stick around and listen, but I just wanted to again come up and just thank Christian and you guys for that statement.
Yeah, Christian is great.
It takes critical thinking skills to read between the lines.
Amen.
Thank you. God bless you. And thank your husband for his service. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you.
Yeah. He put in 27 years total.
Wow.
With six deployments overseas. And technically he has, you only received one medal, but he technically has earned the cross several times.
Wow. A true patriot, a true hero. And
I'm pretty proud of him in case you can't figure it out.
I'm inspired by his example, absolutely. So please send him my regards and thank you for his selfless sacrifice and service to this country and to the American people.
Lynn, what does he think about enemies, foreign and domestic? Does he think the enemies are actually domestic and we were lied to about bullshit foreign enemies?
He understandably knows that there's good and bad. He experienced that when he was in the Middle East. People that might be mistaken for enemies were really domestic and vice versa. So I think that he recognizes there's probably a little bit of both, and the lies kind of a little bit on both sides. And that, we just have to stay true to law and order and punish those that are doing something bad. And that's kind of where he is. But remember, he also has the mandate: don't fire unless fired upon. So, you know, we gotta follow the rules here, but we absolutely have to remember that both could be true.
Yeah. Well, we've been rounding down the room for a while now. Comedian, you're a new stage presence, and I'm gonna give you a chance to sound off, but I'm getting ready to call it a night. Comedian, unless you have something to say.
Yeah, I'm running for 16th congressional district in Illinois here, so I appreciate everything you just said, Christian, and everything you said is spot on.
Everything I said, or he said, or what?
Everything Christian said about organizing, and you know, the resistance to your organizing is profound. And there's so many fake Republicans that are really just Democrats masking themselves. They have no real conservative fiscal values at all, and some of them are very weird. So it's an interesting experience having run and being involved in local politics. And these Congress people, they leave a record of what they did with COVID-19 and how much debt they've created. So I just believe that we have to primary everyone. We're at $40 trillion in debt. So if you believe in term limits and people have been in there for a decade or more, they're the people responsible for getting us to where we're at, and we have to get rid of them. We live in clown world, and it just makes me so angry that the leadership of this country, like AOC, are our leaders. It just blows my mind. We have to be compelled to resist these people. I mean, it's absurd and insane. So thanks, Christian, for what you've done. I've followed you on Clown House for a lot of years. So God bless you all, and thank you too, Manfinity. You've done great work too here on Clown House.
Clown House. Well, thank you guys so much. I appreciate everyone, all those in the audience, all those on stage, and I'm just getting really tired, so I'm gonna log off. But I will see you guys around. Thank you for everything, and God loves you all, and so do I. Good night.
A body that you can cut up, right? Like ours. I mean, a body like ours, right? That's not a rock. We're not just rocks, right? Well, a body like have a body like us. Like a dog doesn't have a body like us, but we say they have a body. I'm explaining what I mean by a body like us. I don't mean a human body. They have bodies, right? And in a sense, they do have flesh and blood, right? Bones, flesh, but they need, again, what we call, what I just said, nutrition, right? Nutrition, you need to be fed, eat all different things. So that's what I mean by a body like ours that you can take, that is physical, is corporeal. You can take a knife, cut it up, chop it up. That's not something you mention with the angels. They don't have, if you want to call them bodies, they don't get chopped up. You can't chop them. They do get chopped. They do get chopped up because you can't chop them up. So the Bible talks about the cherubim that guarded the Garden of Eden, and they had flames. They had flaming swords that went in every direction. Now, you think that they only had swords only for human beings and no angel, as though angels were not a threat to them? You can't. There's no evidence that because it's spiritual. You try a physical knife, right? You have flaming swords. First of all, you might have to say whether even talking about a physical sword, is it being figurative in that way? Is it being literal? A literal physical sword, one that human beings would make, or with metal, made up? If it wasn't physical, you say what? If it wasn't physical, then they wouldn't be able to see it. No, it's just because you can't be able to write about it. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean that it's a spiritual. In other words, put it this way: a spiritual type of body is different from a corporeal physical body, an earthly human body. If you want to say that way. How would you know the difference? You describe the same thing. You say they got hands. A regular human body cannot just levitate and go all throughout the earth. Superman could. Now you got real with me. You got real with me now. Superman can. Animals can. Superman is fictional. So how do we?
Okay, so birds can fly.
Yeah, birds can. Yeah, I'm not saying there are no animals that can't fly. We're talking about spiritual beings, right? You're talking about angels, right? And we're saying levitate and go all throughout the different heavens and back and forth through the earth, and maybe even, if I'm not mistaken, not be you can say held back or obstructed by any physical things.
Yeah, exactly.
In other words, does any spiritual being need to open the door to get in your house? All right. So
yeah.
you see the difference?
Well, so one thing, maybe they're not in our same dimension, so that might be a little different for them. But
That's the point I'm making.
so just like how I can't
Just
stab
like,
you with a
please don't
knife.
see it through scripture. Like, for once, like, just see it for concept or like its principle. It doesn't have to be like your particular interpretation of a scripture. Like, I think what Tim is saying is quite good. Yeah. Like, give it an open mind. Like, it's interesting what he's saying.
Well, it is interesting what he's saying, but it's
Most
actually
mystics hold this
orthodox.
view, actually. Most mystics from all schools of thought, including Christian mysticism, would hold Tim's view.
Right, which means that you guys have the challenge to be open-minded. Not me, because I already heard this. So, like, the thing is, if you look throughout the scriptures, you find that they have limitations, and they're described with limitations. They're not. If you continue with this route of, oh, well, they don't have any bodies, or that they're incorporeal, then there's no reason to assume that they're anything different from God. They're pretty much Holy Spirits that's pretty much everywhere. There has to be a place that's their central, that contains their mind, a central nervous system where all their pain goes to, all their emotion goes to, their thinking has to be centralized in one place. Unless they're like some kind of computer network that has Wi-Fi that's streaming everywhere. But even
it's not denying that they have limitations. They're creatures, so by definition they're limited, right? But what I'm saying is that their way of existing is not exactly like ours as far as the body. So obviously, so obviously, if you have a bunch of them be right in front of you, not even see it. Why is that? They're invisible, spiritual beings. So that right in and of itself says there's something different between whatever they have or whatever their structures are is different from our structure. Other human beings stand in front of us, we can see with our naked eyes. Then we can't see because
I would say that's because they're in a different dimension that's overlapping ours. So it's kind of like how you can have multiple channels in one TV, but just because you can't see the multiple channels doesn't mean those channels don't go by the same rules of, let's say, something else that you're watching. They can overlap, and you may be able to see, like, I guess the interference of one channel over another if you're using some old school.
I hate to interrupt, but like, how retarded are you guys? Like, just how retarded are you guys really? I mean, do you look in the mirror and you're like, you guys just like see cartoons? I mean, are you guys delusional?
Alright, so you
level 2 retarded.
No, we're not. That's just a tactic because you want to change things.
It's not a tactic. I'm asking you a question. Are you literal? Is this literal? Are you guys delusional?
Instead of just having a serious question.
Is this a self-roast? Are you guys like doing a comedy routine here? Because I mean, this is like a cartoon show you guys are talking about. Do you know this guy? I mean, what does your psychiatrist say? Are you not taking the medication as they prescribed it?
What his name is signify exactly what he is.
I hate to interrupt. I'm just asking a question. If you could help tell me. I mean, are you guys literalists? Are you guys philosophers? Are you guys cartoonists? Like, what are you guys actually talking about?
You don't even care. You can't track too bad. Like we were saying. So yeah, there's a difference between their structure and our structure. If you even say.
Shut it down.
It's just different. We can't do it. So yeah, I'm not saying that their structure is like God's, right? But I'm saying it's not like ours either. And I'm saying that because it's not exactly like ours, right? They're not mere corporeal, physical beings. doesn't mean it can eliminate.
Corporeal
Definition.
or corporeal?
Well,
Is that like
that's
flesh?
true for everything, though. Like everything you look at, you can say, well, that's not like a human being. A door is not like a human being. Like a cat is not like a human being.